Today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be having a look at Paul's hardware over there in Taipei, Taiwan. That's CompuTex. So I can't be there, so I'm going to showcase a little bit of his video here. So, and this is not, I'm going to do a disclaimer right here. All the credit goes to Paul's hardware for all that he does over there. All I'm doing is showcasing what he's doing on this channel. So make sure you go over there and show him some love, and I'll leave a link in the description below on his video, so that way you can go over there and watch the full thing. But I'm just showcasing a little bit of it, so that way I give you guys some CompuTex video, however you want to say it. But anyway, let's go ahead and get to the video.
Guys, welcome to CompuTex 2024, like officially the actual start date. We're started off here at Asus because they're a sponsor. A big thank you to them. And we've got JJ, of course, because he knows more about Asus products than I think anybody. And we got him at the beginning of the show before his voice goes out. Because I know it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. It's not if it's going to happen, it's just when it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. All right, quick highlights. What are the things you're most excited about?
I think, actually, oddly enough, really cool new design that we have on our power supplies. Okay. Brand new eCam technology, which is actually a new 3D printing process for next generation coolers. Right. Some cool stuff on BTF, and then probably our peripherals. I think those are probably the super highlights.
I'll tell you what, I know everybody's going to be looking at those water blocks for their PC, so let's have a look.
But there's also some cool display stuff. I mean, there's really a lot of awesome stuff off the board, but those are probably my tops.
All right, where are we going to begin?
Yeah, I think actually a quick one on the power supply, kind of the power supply solutions. So these, we already have a big refresh where we shifted over to, of course, ATX 3.0, 12-volt high power, or 12x6, right, as far as whatever you want to call. But the big update that we've made is now for our next generation high-performance RG series is going to be the inclusion of GaN. Of course, with GaN, that allows us to just have a higher level of efficiency. We're still going to be keeping those big RG heatsink designs to be able to offer outstanding, really best-in-class noise performance, fully modular solutions. But the really cool part, this is the cool part, because they're going to be like, JJ, this is a power supply, everybody has a power supply, they're all high efficiency, they're all cool, they all work well, what's the point? Well, this is going to be the really cool point. This is really the key hallmark benefit of what Asus is going to be doing that's going.
I want you to look at that connector very carefully. It would have been nice if they would have really thought about it, and I mean really thought about it, instead of having that 12-volt high power there, if they could put a 2-pin connector there. Well, why didn't, and this is what's going to come to my mind, why didn't they use 8-gauge wire for hooking up the graphics cards for like the 4090? Why didn't they use that as a high power connector? 2 8-gauge connectors is 1200 watts. That would have made more sense than what they used in that 12-volt high power. That's just my opinion.
Going to be different. So this is actually our voltage stabilizer design. The really cool part about this on both the actual Strix models as well as the new upcoming Thor model will be that in a traditional PSU design, the actual, let's say, load balancing that's occurring was still coming from the actual primary motherboard connection, from that primary 12-volt power connection. But in this new design, we actually have an auxiliary pin. So you can see actually this connector will connect to the power supply along with the 12x6. And that will actually allow us to directly respond to the GPU. So instead of actually having a less efficient and a less actually performant measurement of the transient response in terms of the way the GPU is working, you can have a much faster. And this actually, in the real world, will translate to a little bit of a performance uplift. When we've measured this internally in some game testing, some 3D Mark performance analysis, we found that actually there's a bit more of a variable frame rate that you have when you're going through, let's say, the traditional design as opposed to a voltage stabilized design. Now, as far as what that benefit's going to be, it's not going to be massive, but it will be present probably in the few percent range, probably somewhere about maybe 2 to 3+%.
Is this going to aid with stuff like overclocking?
In theory, yes. I mean, ultimately, ultimately, the way you want to think about it is that right now the GPU is pretty much the peak in terms of where most power is being drawn from the system. So the more you're going to push that part, the more variability that it has to be able to kick up, especially with dynamic technologies like you have with GPU boost, where you're going from one clock state and then ramping up to a much higher clock state. And if you're going to take that further through overclocking, guess what? You're even just pushing that even further, right? You're consuming more power. So that's going to be complementary to potentially maybe improving edge cases where you might not maybe had stability because the power supply wasn't able to keep up quickly enough to that new essentially benchmark of what you're trying to get to a performance level. So very, very excited about this new introduction for the Thor series. We'll probably be starting this model off where we're phasing out the more entry-level wattage, where we used to have like an 850, we'll probably only do like 1,000, going up to 1,600 watts, and then here, probably going from 750 up to about a 1,200 watt marker. The last really cool thing I want to touch on here is a lot of guys that absolutely love the Thor model have always wanted to see it be a little bit even more flexible. So now for this generation, we have a pogo-based design, so you can go ahead and remove it, and if you want to be able to switch the actual orientation, you can pop it back onto the other side. You can see that there's actually a nice protective plate. You can pop it on there, and then bam, you'll be good to go. It'll readjust.
And I'm going to say something about that, because you watch when they get to the end of it, it's still, the display does not pop up. That caught my attention a little bit, that you can flip the plate from one side to the other. But something tells me in order for your temperature to show up on the other side, you got to unplug it, wait a few seconds, and plug it back in order for it to reset. That's probably why it didn't show. Let's move on.
Pop it on there, and then bam, pop it on there, and then bam, pop it on there, and then bam, and you'll be all set. So you can see right there, it takes a little bit to reinitialize, but then you can set it up accordingly based on kind of the chassis layout, the dimensions, the orientation, whatever it might be.
Not locked into one position if you want to see the LED readout.
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of one of the key hallmarks of really the Thor series, so it's a very cool addition. So I think I'm pretty excited about this one.
What about this hammer that's next to you?
So this is going to be, I'm a big comic fan. If you're familiar with comics, you're familiar with Norse mythology, this is, of course, Thor's hammer. The really cool thing is this essentially is going to be a UPS. We've had a lot of people that have essentially been interested in saying, look, I spent $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on my system. I want to be able to better safeguard it, make sure that I'm protecting it from surge, spike, sag.
I'll make sure I put a link in the description for y'all, so that way you can see the video. So, you know, the full-fledged video. I just wanted to bring out, there's a couple things I wanted everybody to see when it comes to over there at CompuTex. Shout out to Paul's Hardware for that awesome video. Much, you know, I know it cost a lot of money going over there. And, you know, also too, make sure y'all go down to his page and subscribe and put a likes on his video, so that way, you know, it helps him out for doing this run over to Taiwan under CompuTex. So help him out that way, he would appreciate it. But anyway, I enjoyed the video. I hope y'all enjoyed the video too. But if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe. And if you've already subscribed, put a like on the video, and also to ring that notification bell so you know when I post the next video. Until the next time in the next video, you know it is, and we'll see you on the next one.